Welcome back, everybody, to Hxro Labs Live. I'm your host, RandomTask555 on Twitter. Oh, look at that on the screen. But you can call me RT. It's way easier. RT. Random Task is random. I'm going to pull up YouTube here so I can see the chat. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while. Probably because I had twins. Holy shit. I have 3 children now. That's crazy. If you boys are watching this someday, just know Daddy loves you. So yeah, I had twins last week. It's been wild. They were born early, so they're in the hospital in the NICU, which, you know what? It's not a bug. I think, my firstborn was born a little early. It gave us 4 weeks while he was in the hospital to kind of get our shit together. These guys, even earlier than that, anyways, they're healthy. They're tiny though. They got little monkey faces, all like wrinkled up and 3-pounders. But anyways, let's get after it. I've got lots to talk about today. Not like, hey, here's 25 bullish setups, but like as a trader, I've gone through a bit of a journey in the last little bit. So I was going to probably rant about that for a little while. This is the Pepe chart. Pepe FOMO season, full effect. I don't have a bag, didn't get a bag. Somebody shilled me on it on Twitter down here. So that sucks in retrospect. Now, to be fair, at the time, all I saw was this. I was like, oh, that's a cool shitcoin. I don't buy shitcoins like that. But looking back, it's going full shib, full shibarium. So, congrats to some people who made some money. At this point, I think it was already up like 1,000x for some people. So I was kind of like, but I'm not actually FOMOing it at all. I know me. I know I'm going to miss these coins. If you guys have ever been around the stream for the last year, I miss all of the good memes. And that's okay. Really zoning in on things I can control, like risk management. I spent a lot of time in the last few weeks going over my trade plan and reviewing things and just kind of getting back on track after kind of getting a little bit loose over the last 2 years. But then here, I had a really bad day right here. I tried to long it too early. Actually, I got stuck here. And I was like underwater, double down, sell it, break even. But all the fees and still some loss in there basically, chewed me up pretty bad, more emotionally than financially. And then I was very glad that I did do it the way I did it in retrospect, because of course, once I got to break even-ish and then sold, it was like, thank God, but please don't go up from here. So I did nuke the next day. That was a bit of a scary moment. I have not tilted like that since 2019, interestingly enough, because that's the fractal I think that's playing out. But in 2019, I was doing it on the short side, trying to short it on the way up. I blew a whole half Bitcoin, which was half my futures account at the time, and then I withdrew the other half and got the fuck out. So in a weird way, despite some tilty moments, I've still never been fully liquidated, knock on wood, on an account, which, I'm going to hang my hat on that. That's pretty good. I have been, I have gone into a hole before, like gambling when I was in my 20s, sports betting and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. And I think now, like, the stakes are just too high for me to ever risk, certain amounts. So like things like keeping 10% of your portfolio in your futures account is a great way to like limit the maximum risk that account could ever take. 10 is high for an account, but it's not detrimental, right? Any given trade, you don't want to risk more than 5% of that futures account, and then you're cooking. It's really hard to get blown up that way. So just setting those kind of parameters helps. And that's something they teach at TRI, which I should mention has 3 terms per year. The next term starts in a few days, or like the signups are live right now. I think they're open for 6 more days. So if you've been thinking about getting on the horse, thinking about like, damn, I really want to learn how to trade. I'm really tired of going to Twitter to try to analyze 100 different analysis and then make my own decisions, because copy trading really doesn't work. You can get some really great ideas from some outstanding traders and you can trade them and then you can make some money. But over time, you're going to find the edge is just not there. Not the least of which because a lot of people tend to tweet when they're doing well. They tend to disappear when they're not doing well. They tend to tweet their entries, not their exits. There's definitely some accounts out there that if you know nothing at all, you can try to scrape some edge from. But having gone through the TRI school after spending 2 years doing that, it is night and day. So I'm always here to share information that I think helps people. And I noticed that their signups are back on for their May term. It's 12 weeks. They have 3 levels. Each level is 12 weeks. It costs about $1,000. The best $1,000 I ever spent. It might be a little more now, maybe 1,200. I don't know. And I don't get paid to say this, just so we're clear. They have a subscription model on the website for a certain tool. Just last week, I asked if I could have that because I had it before and then it expired. I was like, yo, just hook me up. I talk about you guys all the time. That is literally the extent of, ref links, referrals, whatever. They do have ref links. I could try to make some money off that, but I don't want to. That's not the point. The point is I can trade and make my own money. And I just think it's cool if you guys want to learn that shit, that's where you go because they're friggin' awesome. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, let's talk about this range that Bitcoin is in. It is in a range. Fib Pong was kind of my base case for this. And we talked a little bit about it on the pit last Thursday. If you guys haven't watched that show, you should. It's a blast. We've got Circa, we've got Chewbacca, we've got a guest, usually Jedi Blockmates comes in a lot. And we're going to have some others coming up soon, trying to rotate in more people. In fact, I'm trying to get Brian Beamish, the founder of TRI, to come on very soon, possibly Thursday. We have not confirmed, but I thought it'd be cool around their term sign up for him to come in and just do his thing. The Rational Investor on YouTube is actually where they do their shows, and he is a wise man. I would highly recommend checking them out too. Okay, so zooming out, we've had a nice year. Bitcoin, despite it feeling kind of gross down here, I mean today it feels good, but if you check in with your feels, it was pretty gross yesterday. It's up 73% on the year. Just getting in some base facts. I don't have my price line, so I can't see where it is right now. Let's go closer. With this little rally today, we've got, it was a big rally actually. We're only about 7.5% off the highs. Now with May 1st coming in, sell and May walk away is a buzz in the market. For the last 2 years, that has been the play. Most people didn't do it. Most people regretted not doing it. I think a lot of people are doing it this year, regardless of what the price tells them. There's nothing wrong with that. Summers are typically really shitty in the market. If you think about what it feels like to trade on the weekend, that's kind of what it feels like to trade in the summer. The big moves, the markups, what do you call it? The repricing events, they typically do not happen in the summer. Most summers I've been in crypto, if I looked back at them, I could say, I wish I had spent the entire summer not paying attention to anything and then just came back mid-September to buy dips because September is also pretty shit. Now, the exception being 2020 DeFi summer. That was an amazing summer and it led us right into the bull. That would be like the equivalent of next summer if you're thinking in cyclical terms. Thanks, Pat Mac. Says congrats on the twins. Appreciate that, dude. And John McGuire says, welcome back. Thanks, Ben. Bullish or bearish, Pepe? Sorry, I just got here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I am agnostic. This thing looks like it wants to go higher. It looks like it's just going to do one of these for a little bit and then eventually be like, oh my God, you didn't buy Pepe Anon. But it just doesn't excite me at all. It doesn't excite me at all. In retrospect, coulda, shoulda, woulda traded it down there. Could have had a 40x on some ETH. But yeah, I mean, don't know what to tell you. Typically, what you want to see when it makes new highs is new highs in volume. So what do we have near the all-time high? That is the all-time high candle, and it is the highest volume. So it doesn't look exhausted to me. It's just catching its breath, probably goes higher. It's just not the thing I'm going to trade. It's kind of like it's like if you're going to FOMO early. So when I passed on it here without even taking a look, I was like, what the fuck's Pepe coin? Like, I don't care. And now seeing tons of, kind of cope on the timeline and just people asking like, what other meme coins? Like the crazy thing is this is obviously end of days kind of stuff historically when you get real stupid money running around the market, just doing stupid things. So it does make me uncomfortable. not only because I'm not trading it and making the best returns of the year, but also more just like what it typically signals. It's kind of like when penny stocks start going crazy, it's usually like a sign that the bull for that year or that season or whatever in the stock market, is about to cool down. So the shit rises last, so to speak. Anyways, we're here at resistance on the 4 hour, and we've got the FOMC tomorrow. I think this has been a great range to trade, extremely challenging range to trade, a very emotional range because we're at the local highs and we had a very strong breakdown. So that makes people feel like it's over. Very well could be for a little bit. But I drew this up kind of as this was all happening. I did not expect it to happen so fast. This first bit, to be clear, this is when my babies were born. So it was like Sunday night. I'm in bed. It's 11 o'clock. Lady's just getting ready for bed. And then it's like, boom, my water broke. I was like, holy fuck. So it's unfortunate from a trading perspective because this was a really good day to long. But me being a degen in the hospital, not doing too much after they were born that next day, we're just resting. I was on my phone. I did take some longs. But just, I got out of them pretty quickly. I didn't want to stress or anything. It's like, focus on your family. But coming into that and then coming back into another reload zone and then back into the reload zone, it really was like 4 or 5 trades in one day if you're thinking about FibPong. And then Sunday night, the most obvious scam pump in the world. I was long from here. I did not close. I got stopped out. These are just facts. Doesn't mean I'm proud of that. And then, of course, back down into the reload zone on a dumpy Monday. So suspect. Now, I've been going through a bit of a transformation myself in the sense that I was on a slide after having a really good year. On this channel, I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. I slid trade-wise. I had a great year. I traded this really well. I hit my goal for annual income in April. I gave half of it back, kind of tilting out through this. Not only in the drawdown of the market, which I was exposed to quite heavily, but also in just my futures trading. So I gave half of it back. I learned a really harsh lesson, and I did some soul searching. Started talking to my trade partner a lot more, who's Smeety Boop, who was on the channel, my little cousin, TRI vet as well. So we vibe really well, obviously, with how we trade. And so just doing a lot of review and soul searching. So I got back to the gym today. I hired a personal trainer. I said, fuck that. I am going to offset the stress and the effort and work that comes with like willing myself to go work out. Clearly, I don't have it in me. I had periods of, getting a nice routine going. But I spoke to somebody that I'm working with, and he basically was like, yeah, dude, stop stressing yourself out over whether you're going to go today, when are you going to go today, did you go today? And then, you feel bad when you don't go, and you feel doubly bad because it was your fault. Like, he's like, offset all of that onto a personal trainer. If you're trading, the account size you're trading, like, it's the best money you've ever spent. It was like $1,100 a month. Sometimes that's my fee for market entering a position. Like, just spend it. And then you have a guaranteed baseline, 3 workouts a week. And then that just gives you enough to want to work out those other 2 days. So I just started that this morning, and I feel like $1 million. Even though it was just like a light assessment type workout, it's this mental shift of like, okay, we're back. And my God, is it ever transformational? So all the same old shit, because I talk about this on the channel a lot. You've got to have your shit together if you want to be a good trader. It's such a mental game. You have to be getting your sleep. You have to be exercising. Meditation doesn't hurt. I'm not going to say you have to do it. I know a lot of traders who don't, but it helps. Just clearing your head. It's amazing what happens when you turn your mind off for a little bit, especially in a 24/7 volatile market like this. So I've been doing a bit of that too. And so my goal from now until September is a little bit to do with crypto and sort of an average month over month earning that I want to make from trading. But it's really going to be pivoting the focus back to like self-care. Obviously, I've got 2 babies. They're coming home in about a month. So it'll be pivoting to like some fam time, but also just like exercise, sleep, diet, all that stuff. Really, it's about beefing up my own routines and ironing them out into what I expect to be the biggest bull market this stuff has ever seen. I don't want to be where I was a week ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, like not on top of my shit when all of that goes down, because then the stakes are really, really high. And I don't want to look back and be like, I didn't take full absolute, advantage of that period of time. So that's my rant as far as like self-care goes. That's kind of where I'm at today, where I'm at this week and for the next few months. And from that base of like exercise, diet, and everything else, it's so much easier to like establish healthy routines and, get more effective time out of the work, because I'm going to have less time at my computer, obviously, with the kids, but like I'll make much better use of it. And I have big expectations for this market. So with FOMC tomorrow, it's really tough to say. We had some bank failures this morning, and pretty much right when that got tweeted out, this thing pumped. And I love that Bitcoin has become this like inverse bank failure catalyst. It's almost like the Bloomberg terminal news is now triggering algos, which is fantastic, because that just gives us something to look for, something to trade. It's a nice kind of nod to Bitcoin and what it's doing. And then some other coins moved along with it. So what we should look at today, first off, remember the broader framework of like summer's usually pretty shit. So even if we move higher here, which I think we could, I don't even know if I think we will anymore, but I think we could. It's very much like up to this range. I don't think there's any reason we have to move out of this range at all for the next little bit. We could very well get stuck here for a period of weeks. So, but next major leg, which way is it going to be? To the downside, very uncomfortable, but there's some pretty sweet levels down here. And of course, long-term, mid-term, they represent buying opportunities. So it's about having cash if and when they come, or finding really nice, tight levels to short from to get there if I want to make money on the way down, which I'm typically pretty bad at. I don't do that very well, as you guys know. So from this range, I mean, if I had to be a guessing man, I'd say we break higher from it. But there's a pretty strong invalidation down here that, my spot positions will mostly be nuked if we go below there. So set your bids. That was like exactly what happened here, right? I basically said like, this is my line in the sand. And then it broke. I sold some shit. Thank God I had the wherewithal to start getting back long again. So I did manage to capture the next leg up. But similar to this, I did lose some money, or give some back, I should say, kind of during that. This is a trader's life. This is kind of how it goes. It's about minimizing the haircuts, maximizing the uptrends. So let's look at some high time frame stuff. I'm very much just getting back to work, so to speak. So if it looks like, if it sounds like I don't have a very clear, well thought out thesis to present you today, it's because I'm straight up like taking care of babies and taking care of myself and just trying to like get back on the horse, so to speak. So this is a weird chop zone with my like high time frame GAN that I've been tracking. We had such a nice move from this arc up to this horizontal, really up to that arc. And there was some signals of weakness before we nuked a couple of Tuesdays ago. And that was a perfect example of where to take a short, even if you're bullish. It's like, I feel bearish at the lows. I'm really good at taking longs at lows when I feel bearish. I'm not very good at taking shorts at highs when I feel bullish, though. Excuse me. I'm good at taking longs at lows when I feel bearish, but I'm not good at the inverse. This ended up being a really sweet level locally too, short reload zone, all that. But we're not going to cry over spilled milk, see? So right now we're just 3-day. We're back above this key horizontal. Closes in 1 day. So for any high time frame sense of where we go next, we just need to let the FOMC pass. And once that's in the rear view, I think the expectation baked in is the 25 basis points, and then probably not that dovish. I don't expect him to be like, fuck it, we're done hiking rates, pump this shit. Like, even with talk of maybe the rate hikes are stopping or slowing or reversing, like his whole thing has been like, we want to tame this market. There is a universe that exists, however, and this is me having just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, the multiverse movie. Super cool if you haven't seen it. Highly recommend it. Eat some gummies before you do it. It's a very trippy, weird movie. dildo fighting, and it's absurd. But anyways, I was laughing the other day with my buddy, like, there is a universe where Jay Powell gets sick of his job, sick of his life, realizes that banking and everything he does is a scam, buys himself some Bitcoin, but instead of quitting or resigning, he goes on to the last FOMC he'll ever do, and he just goes, fuck it, this shit's all a scam, buy Bitcoin. Imagine. It's not going to happen, but wouldn't that be fucking hilarious? Mic drop, just walks out. These central banks are all scammers. I'm out. Buy Bitcoin. No, but in all seriousness, we need to let that pass for tomorrow. And so there could be, I really like this move up today because there could be then a setup where we're like getting a nice FOMC wick to long. And it would only be fair to then assess the possibility of getting an FOMC wick too short. I'm not going to be shorting tomorrow, probably. Let's be completely honest. Y'all know me. I'm probably going to be looking to take longs, get stopped out, if anything, and then, assess from there, because the weekly trend is up, and that's the direction I want to trade. If we lose this level with anything but like a sweep, then we've got our kind of macro trend reversal that would make it pretty easy for me to walk away from this market for a little bit. Not only because I'm being drawn away by family and wanting to spend some time with them, newborn babies and all that, but also just because it's like summer coming and we've had a good start to the year, and it's not really the bull market year that it's supposed to be. So I'm comfortable taking the risk of missing some chop and bullshit while enjoying my summer if we lose this level. Until then, I'd rather trade the trend. High time frame is up. Really nice shakeout. Really nice breakout. Washed out 15% of the open interest on that nuke, which was strange and crazy. Rejected. We're just chopping. This is just, this is just the bullshit you get during a washing machine type year, but the trend continues going higher. I saw an interesting tweet yesterday we should think about. Let's go find it. Cred retweeted it, so I'll find it on his. I don't actually remember the original author. But it was basically talking about was this April 30th? Yeah, this guy. Where is it? Dang, I wonder if it's like, where did I post it? I think I reposted it somewhere. Shit. Oh, well. Womp womp. It was basically talking about what if we're wrong about here we go. The correlation and causation of the Bitcoin halving. And here's some nice hopium, what people will call hopium. The yellow arrows aren't halving dates. They're actually liquidity signals that preceded each parabolic advance to new highs in Bitcoin. So while we attribute the next bullish leg in the market to the halving, this particular analyst has identified a break of CN1, 10, I guess that's like a 10-year bond or something. And then the Dixie over its 60-week moving average was correlated with China's credit impulse and historically led the 3.5 global liquidity cycle. This ratio appears to be a rotated version of Bitcoin's chart. More details in the thread here. So he has a couple threads there. So check it out more in detail if you want. But I just thought it was an interesting take in the sense that, what if it's not the halving? And wouldn't that make sense? Because the halving is the most obvious thing that you see coming every single time. And yet price tends to only perform after. Things like a halving should be priced in advance. That's typically how markets work. So it's either a super inefficient market, which it kind of is or has been historically, or it wasn't the halving at all. Maybe that spurred it on. Maybe that was a reason that certain people bought. Maybe it was this liquidity signal. And that liquidity signal has already fired. So going back to what I was saying earlier in the year, I am not comfortable sitting out of my longer term spot positions on this assumption that we're going to be up and then it has to be down just like last cycle, and then we go. I am not 100% confident that this happens. I have a plan for if something like that does happen, right? Like I said, we have some levels here that if we lose them, I'll be back into some cash and I'll look for lower lows or, lower levels through the summer. There's certain spot positions that I'm just not going to sell. I'm comfortable holding them for a period of years. But there's also this non-zero probability that this is the beginning of the new bull. I think objectively it is. It's just a matter of like how much fucking noise do we get before there's new highs and all the rest. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it looks like appears that my neighbor is mowing their lawn right there. So that's annoying. Hopefully that's not too loud. I can hear it. It's very distracting. Anyways, we're in an uptrend. This is a weekly uptrend. They can last a long time. They can do a lot of sideways, before they go to their next leg. In 2019, we did reverse and then continue the big one. I think there's an assumption in the market that that's what will happen this time. I'm not so convinced. But like I said, if it does, we'll trade it. We'll trade it mostly. I'll trade it mostly by getting stopped out on my long exposure and then looking to get long again. I probably won't be shorting up against the highs each time it makes new highs. That's just net negative for me on my time frames. We're at a very big level. So the pause here makes sense. The attempt by bears to reverse here makes sense. The giving up by bulls here makes sense. And the stall right under here makes sense. If we do go higher, it could be a very powerful move. So I'm more comfortable being on board with that, given my invalidation of 26,999 basically. And actually, the alert I have there is basically check for a sweep, because if it's a sweep and recover, then I'll probably get right back in, try one more time against that low. But if it just like nukes below, I'm very comfortable probably till September, just not getting too spot exposed. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, I just, we're in this chop zone, and that's when you're going to get the most fuzzy analysis. It's very hard to give clear, confident analysis when you're in a chop level like this. You're going to get people that are like, I don't know, it could go up, could go down. So it's really less about predictions and more about setups. Can I look for shorts here? Can I look for longs here? Can I look for longs if we were to like break out and retest, right? Where are the setups? And that's all I'm really focused on right now. And I'm going through a bit of a transition between, my overall exposure to the market. I have identified that I will be a better trader if I am less broadly exposed to markets in general, whether that's in my, savings account, whatever, like my wealth managed account, like whatever you call it, your 401k, like just general kind of allocations. I have to reorganize a little bit to just bring down emotion and increase my ability to trade. That's something I identified this year as like probably being problematic. And it became problematic after I paid my fucking tax bill because I had cash. And that was keeping me sane. And then I just spent all of it and then some on tax for last year, which is stupid. And then when I went to go pay the tax, there's a $6,000 fee, interest payments and penalties, because I didn't pay installments in advance last year for this year's tax bill, which I didn't know. It's basically like they charged me interest for not paying tax on money I hadn't earned on tax that I didn't know. Literally the biggest scam in the world. And that's coming from a guy who pays a lot of money to accountants to pay every dollar of tax he owes. Like, I want to get it right. I'm not dodging them. And then they give me this $6,000 tax bill on top of my tax bill. It's a scam. So anyways, let's talk about JPEGers. That happened to me last week, so I was salty. So as that cash goes out to pay tax, I had to kind of reassess. So I'm doing some of that now. Naturally, I don't want to reassess like at this level, be like, I need to be less long Bitcoin, so I'm going to let it give me some invalidations. It's a multi-week process. I'm not, panic selling on Monday because I need more cash in my bank or something. There's also the chance that this next high we get is the final bit for this year, and then we go into a shitty summer. That's probably my base case if we're going higher, for what it's worth, probably get up there and find some setups. But higher time frames, I expect there would be some divergence up there. And I've always thought that we can't really properly roll over until we sweep these. So maybe that kind of comes in, touch some other resistance and sweep this shit, stall out, and then we have like a nice FU summer doldrums. It's probably my base case, but let's get up there and find out. If we can get up there, let's go see. For now, the last thing I'll say about Bitcoin is that I'm looking to long FOMC. If we would get some nice throwbacks on like wicks during against this low, I really like that kind of thinking, because that could spring into the next leg. Whether it does or doesn't really matter. The fact is the setup is juicy and I like it, so I'm going to take it. Trading is really about what is the market offering me that is making me willing to risk losing money to possibly make more. A move up today with a potential wicky dicky down into my zones during FOMC would be fantastic. So the headline for this stream was, let's talk about ETHBTC. I wouldn't write it off. That was basically my takeaway. Pre-Shanghai, we had a really strong daily sweep of lows and then just a blast through Shanghai. Everything was alt season. And now it seems like all but forgotten. But it's in the zone. It's in the reload zone. It's showing signs of bullish divergence. The selling is getting weaker as we go down. I don't think there's tons of alpha to be, had with like trading this chart, in the sense that it hasn't really gone anywhere in 2 years. It's more about what that signals. If this ends up being a higher low on the 4 hour for ETHBTC and it starts to move up, maybe Bitcoin's just stuck in this range for the next little while. Seems probable. And then you have Bitcoin dominance just at this key weekly resistance. There's a non-zero chance that we just made a lower high here and we break down and ETHBTC goes higher and we get some alt season. And that might be like May 2017, June 2017, when things were fantastic. And in both cases ended up being shitty summers. 2019 and 2017. Great May. Okay June. I think in 2017 it peaked somewhere around June 23rd. If I recall correctly, IRC. And then we had like the usual summer doldrums. So that's probably my favorite scenario, whether or not we get it. So it's about thinking about how I want to trade it. I guess the point is like, this is definitely not an area where I'm suddenly like, ETH is going to die. I'm going to sell it all. I'm going to swap it all to Bitcoin. It's just not really the zone to do that in. We came in and made a lower low. There was less selling than previous lows. There was higher momentum indicators than previous lows. We bounced pretty strongly off it, and we just confirmed a cute little 4 hour bull structure. So if I was a betting man, even though bank failures and Bitcoin and blah, 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 I'd say we could just get something like this and then have a nice little local reversal. We'll see how far it takes us. But I cannot stress this enough, guys. The market is not in easy mode right now. We had periods of easy mode this year. I think the market is going to get better and better over the next 2 years. And that's why I'm kind of taking a pause on like aggressively trying to trade the market and more focusing on like, what can I do to make myself in a better position to trade the market when everything's just fucking flying. That's next year or the year after. Maybe it's later this year. Who knows? But when it happens, I want to be maximally ready, optimized. So that's really become my focus. Now let's talk about J. I got a bag of J. I'm LPing most of it. I'm holding some of it naked. I think that's a waste. It's probably better just to LP it. But this is a really interesting coin. It's a brand new model. And I'm going to pull up the image. Where is it? It's probably just on their Twitter. Anyways, this was a really cool thought. I love this thinking because it means we could have a bull market before the halvening. That would be really crazy. I mean, talk about max pain and talk about FOMO. I mean, at what level is everybody just FOMOing in because it's like, holy shit, this is it. I still can't shake that feeling from my head, even though yesterday the market felt just atrocious. And the daily looks like it wants to roll over. Let's be honest. Can't shake it from my head. Jay Peggers. So really interesting concept. If you're asking about it in the chats, because you already know enough about it that I probably shouldn't have to read this entire thing. But basically, you can buy in J through the smart contract, buy and sell J through the smart contract. It mints and burns, and it charges a fee of Ethereum in each side of that. And those fees of Ethereum are collected by the smart contract and go to the backing of J. So there's basically ETH sitting in a contract that backs each of these and creates the sense of a floor. So at any time, regardless of what happens over here on Uniswap, which will be filled with emotion, there's no fees to trade this. So if you want to get out and the price is right, you can sell here and not take that 10% tax fee. So it's really like if I want to buy or sell, I'm always just going to the website's contract or to Uniswap to find out where I get my better price. Now I bought in an LP'd, and then I added some more and LP'd. The LP pays only when people are minting and burning. So actually overnight last night, I thought there was a bug because like my LP rewards didn't go up at all. I made almost 1 Ethereum in like 2 days. And then overnight, it literally didn't budge. And I was like, damn, is it broken? It's just because no one was minting and burning. So right now we're getting sort of this quiet test, right? In theory, when price reaches a certain level, it should get bought up because people are getting it cheaper here than the price for which they can then go and just burn it on the site. You get the arbitrage, right? So, hey, somebody wants to sell it to me at 320. I know I can go to the contract on the website and I can burn, I can buy it here and then go burn it on the website and make some profit. And that's been happening. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I'm not worried about it at all from a game theory point of view because the Ethereum that is in the smart contract behind it, I consider like my floor. Anyone else who's selling or minting or burning, like that floor just rises. Versus Ethereum, that's an important point. If Ethereum is down versus USD, this thing very well can go down versus USD. So I'm kind of treating it like an Ethereum savings account with potential upside from LP. It's got tons of risks. It's a new thing. That means even though it's audited, it could be privy to some new sort of exploit, some new sort of mint burn function, blah, blah, blah. I don't know about all that. So I am maybe 4 or 5% of my portfolio in this thing, nothing crazy. And it's using like its own wallet. So it's not, not letting my own main wallet get targeted. Circuit talks too much. Yeah. Is he talking too much in the chat? This guy, you can join me on these Tuesday sessions. It's not just about me, man. Throw the man a thumbs up. Yeah. Circa's very excited about this. He talks about it more than I do, which is interesting because he's, peak cope right now, I think. It's not enough to not be in, but you got to make sure everybody who is in knows that you're sarcastically non-optimistic about it. Like mint burn drives value to this protocol. In the absence of minting and burning, and this is actually where Messi originally talked about sort of being like the war of attrition, right? It'll just be this boredom coin where every time someone gives up, sells, and leaves, the value backing for everybody else goes up a little bit. So it's kind of like last man standing. If every single person burned every single one of their tokens but me, the backing would be incredibly high and I would make more money. And that's an interesting game theory. It's like the opposite, right? Last man holding the bag usually screwed. In this case, it's quite the opposite. I would warn you against going into Discord right now. I went in there this morning and it's just a bunch of people trying to convince other people to sell. Go figure. So if you thought FUD was bad on your favorite coins, just wait till you get into the J Discord. It's literally like paid to FUD. So it's a really strange, interesting, weird thing. And then the main use case, of course, as listed on the website, is really about NFT tax loss harvesting. People come in, they pay a small fee, which goes to the backing. They mint some J tokens. They trade their NFT that they don't want, that they can't sell anywhere else for that J token. They sell the J token to realize a loss. So it helps people harvest tax losses. On the flip side of that, all of those NFTs get sent in to a thrift shop, which can be purchased with J if somebody just looks at it and says, I actually like this, parallel cards, whatever. Now, I don't know how much utility that all has, but the elastic supply mint burn on this thing, programmatically speaking, will be up only versus Ethereum. Now, could I be wrong? Could there be something I'm not thinking about? I happen to know of a number of traders who are waiting for certain price levels on this to execute a swing trade where they will buy and then sell. So, it's a new thing. I'll tell you what's going to happen, though. There will be forks of this. I would say almost certainly. It is sitting closer to the burn price right now, or the mint price. This isn't, it's not like, oh, it should be trading up here, but it's so underwater. It's actually like after fees, you're actually pretty close right now to the mint and burn price. So it's probably just finding its new little zone. I am not worried about it at all. It's not sitting in the front of my mind at all. My plan is to take more ETH out than I put in, which I can already do by a little bit. But ETH is down in USD, so it's probably a net loss on USD. And really just hold this thing. I find it fascinating. I think it's an interesting experiment. I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that will sell out of boredom and opportunity cost. I do not have to worry about that because I didn't put in more than I can afford to lose, or more than I should have. So I'm just going to chill. I'm going to chill. I'm going to let Ethereum hit new all-time highs. I'm going to let this thing shake out. And theoretically speaking, it should just trend higher versus ETH over a long period of time. And I think that's pretty cool. So I'm not fucking selling. No. All right. Nice hit. Now let's go see the old Agger. I don't really analyze this. Circa, I defer to Circa for this in the pit when I'm like, hey, look, Spot's bidding this morning. Spot was leading a bid. It was a really nice signal. And then the banking crisis stuff came out and it spiked all the way up to 29K. And now it's just chilling, flagging out. I love this happening before FOMC. I really didn't want to see, and we still could see it, but I really didn't want to see FOMC come out and then making it a new direct low. On divergence, sure, that's a possible setup, but it's just wider invalidations and more uncomfortable invalidations. I love the move up on Tuesday, possibly setting up a higher low through FOMC for what I expect to be a visit to at least the other end of this fib pong. And then, of course, once we get up there, we could just puke and die, or we could just continue the trend. Third option, continue the fib pong. Either way, I love longing from here on a red wick or candle sometime tomorrow during the FOMC. I think that's a great trade. Whether it works or not, it's a great trade setup. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to be setting that up tonight. I'm going to be looking for levels. I'll be watching it live. I don't expect him to be very dovish. He usually is not, and it's counterproductive to what he's trying to do. So I guess the question is, does Bitcoin give a fuck? I don't know. We'll find out. What we are seeing here appears to be some hedging. Now, do you remember this? This was before the big earnings week last week or 2 weeks ago. Was it last week? And there was just tons of hedging into whatever that earnings was, Apple or Google or Facebook or something. And then after hours, everything just shot up. All those put buyers set to expire worthless sometime near future. So, there is definitely a really strong bear case in the market. I'm going to just put that out there. Like I said, I'm pretty shit at trading those when I'm so high time frame bullish over the period of years and exposed in a way that I can manage the path risk. But major weekly resistance. Where's the Dixie? There's your Dixie breakout. Looks hungry. Oh yeah, red hourlies. That's what we like to see. Red 4 hourlies. Okay, I should probably just get out my Dixie chart because I think it has some ink on it. I mean, yeah, there's a case to be made for there to be a pivot here. Selling may walk away, summer doldrums, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. What would you say? It just really depends. What would you say your thesis is on how much Bitcoin could be worth and when that could happen? And then how much do I want to risk not being a part of the majority of that ride early on. We got a really nice entry at the start of the year. Anywhere between 15 and 20K was delicious. So, can I stomach the path risk is the question that I've been asking myself. And then how do I want to trade it? And is there good times to come in and take some shorts? The Dixie is at a very big level. So it's not meant to like slice through it very quickly. It was a level that marked, the ultimate blast through that formed the high against this 20-year breakdown. Like we had a breakdown M top, came in and tested it. So we're at support and we're just kind of navigating our way down through that support for now. And it is acting as resistance. There's some people that are saying it's breaking out. Kind of looked like it was this morning when it had done this, and then today was green. But I don't know. I'm still leaning towards more upside on things, most things. For example, yeah, we just got a sweet monthly close. Notice that. So for quite a little while, ES mini futures is what I chart because they're a little more liquid and fluid. I don't know about liquid, but fluid. Less gaps and bullshit. But yeah, for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Basically a year we were just failing to close monthlies above this key weekly level, really. And then we just got a really sweet little monthly close. So there's a bull case in there. And the funny thing is, like, even some of the bulls that I'm seeing out there, like, they're kind of like, no, there will be a blow off top, but it's this leg, and then we can expect a massive crash. That would be pretty poetic. Would not be shocked. So who fucking knows? We're going to trade it level by level. Right now, it's at resistance, getting rejected. Bitcoin is at resistance, just kind of chopping up, not getting rejected entirely yet. I think that rejection really comes in down here or confirms down here. So I'm bullish above 26,999, basically 26,900. I don't see any reason to be a bear down until we get down below that. Let's put it that way. Feels good to get some analysis out here on the charts with you guys. The question is then, of course, Bitcoin lead the next leg? Would it be altcoins? And for that, you just really want to pay attention to Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, ETHBTC. I am seeing a lot of altcoins that I like right in their reload zones against Bitcoin. So I would not be shocked. Like, let's look at BNB is a coin that I am long on right now. Really having some nice reactions. Like, this is your daily, right? So this is like May 2022. So it's a year ago today. Really nice rally through last year against Bitcoin. Right back into the reload zone, and now just making some noise. So does this, looking back, end up being the kind of range where I want to be thinking about building positions against Bitcoin? Possibly. Same thing on Solana. High time frame. Whoa. There's an even bigger one here. Get it pretty accurate, not perfect. So we're kind of down in this investable area, so to speak. This is like below the official reload zone, which only goes down to here. And so we have like a reload zone, and then a reload zone, and then a reload zone. We have some bulls waking up. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that some altcoins outperform Bitcoin percentage-wise to the upside if and when we break higher. Solana is probably one of my favorites to do it. Ethereum, obviously, I'm going to have some. And then like BNB recently, it's getting weird funding. I don't know if people know something or they think something or they're just betting against Binance legally in like a CFTC, whatever way. But there's crazy funding, negative. So I'm getting paid to be long BNB right now, which could end up being good unless my stop loss is more than the funding. But in the meantime, BNB is an interesting chart because it's just below this level. It's a crazy strong resistance, but it seems to be getting a lot weaker. really May 2022 again. We've got lots of tests of this resistance. I mean, blasted higher. That was pretty fake, pretty savage, fake out. And then, you know, so the time between the tests of the resistance are getting less, and the lows being made between those tests are getting higher. So it's either a perfect area to be shorting right up against this level, and then it finally just gives up, and you know, probably, I don't know about making new lows, but it, you know, something like just back into the reload zone kind of thing. And then it's like not ready till next year. But more likely, IMO, at least against the local lows, why not be risking there? Is that, you know, this resistance is ready to break. It's not, I wouldn't even say like, oh, more likely, less likely. It's just, I really like this setup. I really like this idea of like being long from this kind of reload zone, however you want to draw it, how locally you want to draw it. There's a lot of reasons for me to be thinking long here, thinking get the fuck out down here and here, because of the potential upside. Again, trading is just really about finding times when it's like small risk, big reward potential. So if we do continue this trend of higher highs, or excuse me, higher lows, really actually has been higher highs too. If you think about this, this, and this. But anyways, so I like long from BNB here. I am long, I should say. Because the upside, if and when this breaks, I mean, imagine someday it will, whether it, you know, shits for a little bit first, sweeps some lows, and then goes. But look at that up there. Look at that. Sitting on a launch pad. Well, it's sitting under a launch pad right now, technically. So as far as like finding opportunities in this market, I think there's a weirdly decent one here. Fat accumulation zone here, kicking at a crazy chaos PRZ. And this is the kind of trade that, you know, I'm obviously not like long here, tight little invalidation. I'm going to try to hold it to 750. But when this kind of structure breaks out, this is where the mania typically peaks. Some kind of level like that. Depending on the coin, it can even get to these levels. So is this the year? Is this the time of the season? Is this, you know, going into summer? I don't know. Probably not. But can I get something like this even? You know, my trade is going to be closed and then break even pretty quickly. I think actually locally I set it up. So it's something like this. Yeah, there it is. There's my alert. So I'm going to hit like a 3.5 to 1 here if it hits. I'm going to move my stop loss to break even, which I think is like right around here. And then we'll let the rest ride and see what happens. And if it comes back down to make a higher low, I can reload some of that. So that's the plan on my BNB long. Something like that. Fill more. You know, keep playing this higher lows until they're not higher lows. Building length, scraping profits. Ultimately, though, keeping some with stop loss of break even so that if and when. And the best part about it all is right now I'm just getting paid to be that in that long, like a weirdly high rate. So either someone knows something and I'm fucked, or they're about to get their shit squeezed and I'll be rich. Done drop my vape. That calls for a toke while I read the chat. Interesting take. Zen just pointed out something important. SUI is launching tomorrow. SUI. It's built on the Moves language, Facebook's language or whatever. Is that right? I don't know shit about it. But I do know that there was a bunch of hype around when Aptos launched it. You know, Aptos, SUI, oh my God, new shiny toy. So that's launching tomorrow. And there is something going on with BNB and like Binance and, you know, hold some BNB to get some tokens kind of thing. Basically like farming, whatever, faucet. So Zen suggested maybe for all these people that are loading up big bags of BNB and they're hedging out on perps to get that SUI airdrop or tokens, whatever. And so, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Doesn't necessarily mean that somebody thinks, the dominoes are falling on the back end for BNB, Binance. So in that case, I like the idea of them unwinding that short position tomorrow. Post FOMC, we'll see if we can get a nice little rally in the market, and BNB might get a little extra south. And every 8 hours until then, I will get some money in my account. Yeah, vaping is bad, dude. Don't worry. I'm basically locked to stop this summer. I was actually going to stop pretty soon, like right now, but then somebody I'm working with on that kind of thing basically advised me not to stop right before I bring 2 twins home. It's like, that's a major stressing event in somebody's life, a major pivot, and it's the kind of thing that drives people back to their addiction, back to their relapse. So he strongly recommended that I wait sometime in the summer once things have settled at home and I'm working out more and all these things. So yeah, don't worry about me on that front. I mean, I appreciate you worrying, but I wouldn't. I quit in November 2021, right at the highs after the Lisbon conference. And then I restarted right at the Pico lows right after FTX collapsed. Go figure. So I look to extricate myself from this habit sometime this summer. It's going to be stressful and annoying, and then it'll be done, and life will be good. It's all good. All right. What do you guys got going on over there in the chat? It's definitely not a time where I feel comfortable spreading myself out across a ton of alts, which is ironic because I did that closer to the highs. It's probably a net better time to be doing it now. But I'm really focusing in on more like self-care, personal growth, trading, process ironing out, taking the foot off the gas a little bit right now is my focus, so that I can trade less but trade better. So BNB being a main focus, main spot bag is Bitcoin. JPEGers having a little fun there. Basically, I was just sitting on some ETH doing fuck all. So I was like, I'm just going to stick it in this up only contract and see what happens. Yeah, if I quit vaping, no, that's the top. That was the perfect top last time. And I love you too, Crypto Jake, by the way. And yeah, and then I started again after FTX. I don't even think it was like because like consciously where I was like, oh, FTX collapsed, I'm going to go start vaping. But I was like super stressed. And then surprise, vape. Not random. So we're supposed to sell when RT pulls vaping in the summer and buy when he picks it back up. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. She calls some guy from the pit. I think his name is Mama Cass. Very interesting. It takes a whole day. Oh man. So many clutch alt short setups right now. Yeah. So hopefully those alt short setups come in over the next 2 days, because it sounds like Mr. Circa, who talks too much in the chat here, has a lot of interesting short setups. So they'll get blown out. And then on Thursday, he can come and show us where he will reshort, and we can think about it. Turnaround Tuesday, not really a day I'm looking for shorts. But let's see how it goes tonight. Right now, number go up. So I've pretty much outlined places where I think there are good trade setups, like locations on the chart. We are in a range. Low end of the range, thinking long. High end of the range, thinking short. Works till it doesn't, and it could work for a period of weeks or months. There is no rule that you have to go straight down or straight up. In fact, 80% of the time, markets are ranging. Did you know that? Fun fact. So a range can be a trader's best friend if they're prepared to trade the range. It can be your worst enemy if you're trying to make it a trend when it's not. Because that's when you start trying to like long and short. I'm getting bullish, I'm getting bearish. Bad. So the most aggressive bear setup would be thinking that we can't break these highs, even though they're kind of like equal highs. And they look like a sweet target before we took any real high time frame reversal. But, getting short through here up against this high, like that's kind of the most aggressive setup. Like here, not so much. Even if this marked the top right here, it would not be a good short setup for me. So not really thinking about shorts right this minute. We'll see how tomorrow shakes out. It's going to be a big day. FOMC, all eyes on J Powell, and any short-term volatility. Typically, like the first move has been a great fade every time. So if he comes out, says some shit, starts moving higher, probably by the end of his speech, it's lower. I will struggle to trade that, but I will have some longs somewhere along here, depending on how high price goes. Because as you know, if it keeps going up today, I'm going to drag this higher. It's interesting that this 618 aligns perfectly here. I find that happens a lot, where you get this kind of line up on multiple time frame fibs. So that could mean that the highs for today, prior to that, will end up being just under 29K. It seems to happen a lot, where the fib goes, like the move goes until the fibs align down below. I've never obviously used that to trade, but I notice it frequently. So we'll see. Mostly looking for some kind of quick wick fill on a long with pretty tight invalidations tomorrow during the volatility. Because then if I'm wrong and it's like, oh no, we're actually going so much lower, I could just be out of the market. I don't have to be in anymore, right? Getting long against invalidations, getting short against invalidations. That's the name of the game. Right now we are in no man's land. Go figure. Right where people want to start buying again. But it's too far from any real invalidation levels for me to start fucking with it again today. So BNB, on the other hand, last thing I'll say about it is it's still in the zone. Still in the reload zone. So just added to my long a little bit this morning after things got a little spicy. This was the spice this morning, so I kind of added on this little dip here. I just like the idea of being long here against this low. We'll see how it ages. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. STX looks amazing for a short. Oh my God. Let's go see what STX. Yeah, you got to check your time frames when you talk to Circuit. He's a very low time frame trader. So for today, maybe. Totally could be a great short on the 1 minute chart right now. Let's see. Yeah, if I'm trading this 1 minute and I'm out of my trade in the next 3 hours, this could be like a really cool place to short. But I'm trying not to trade the 1 minute. So I have to be careful. I have to be careful when I listen to this young man, because on the daily, I see immense strength, speculation around ordinals and smart contracts on Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. I see dipping down towards reload zones. I see sort of a W coming in on price on this daily chart. So midterm, high time frame, this actually is starting to look interesting for a long. It's not there yet. But yeah, get that 1 minute out. Had a nice move today. Fade it into FOMC. Do a little clout grab tomorrow or Thursday on stream. And you're basically living the dream. Really interesting volume today. I mean, this thing is just like high beta Bitcoin, right? It seems to just echo Bitcoin. So I'm not surprised to see it with a strong breakout today. I think that's it for today, guys. It's good to be back solo, laying my thoughts out there on the stream. I think we are in, I think we're positioned for more upside. So that's just the end of it. But I will admit that it looks tired. It feels gross. And every time you move higher, it seems to be closer to the end of the move. So yesterday felt pretty bad. Today looks much more promising. But the bottom line is, objectively speaking, we're in a weekly uptrend and we haven't reversed that yet. So I've got to be thinking long at range lows and cautiously considering some shorts around range highs. I haven't taken one yet, but I might if we get up tomorrow on some JPOW talk. But I'm much more likely to just miss the short and then end up in cash at some point and rebuy later. I just want to go on the record and say I'm not ruling out 42K before the end of all this shenanigans. 41K, 40K, 35. I just think it's premature to rule that out. But don't take my word for it. Stay tuned to the show, guys. We're going to do analysis level by level, week after week. We've got the pit on Thursdays with the squad. Sub to the channel if you want to be reminded of this stuff. You got to hit the bell. Like all the videos, all that good stuff. Feed the algo. It's food. And we have a special guest coming on the show next week. You'll hear about it on our Twitter at Hxro Labs on Twitter. And possibly some other guests lined up as well. I'm hearing buzz in the chats about some guests being lined up. So stay tuned to the channel, guys. I'll be back for my solos as many Tuesdays in a row as I can. I've got some twins coming home in a few weeks. We'll see how that goes. But I imagine I can still squeeze in an hour with y'all. So it's been great, guys. And that's all for today. Hop into the pit if you're not already in there. And whatever you do from now until J-Pow comes on tomorrow and beyond, always play from a position of strength. Take care.